April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail on its first voyage from Southampton to New York City. On April 14, at approximately 11:40 p.m., an iceberg was sighted about 400 nautical miles south of Newfoundland. Officer William Murdoch orders a hard starboard maneuver and reverses engines, but the Titanic collides with the iceberg. On April 15th, early morning at approximately 2:18 a.m., the ship breaks in two. Over 1,500 perish, with only 705 rescued in lifeboats. Beyond the chilling encounter with the iceberg, the Titanic's tragic demise was a result of fatal errors from its design stage to the fateful collision. In this video, we unravel the riveting story of the Titanic disaster, exposing multiple factors that transformed the unsinkable into a harrowing sinking reality. But before getting into that topic, if you are a fan of interesting topics like this, please like this video. Also, please subscribe to our channel. Alright, let's get into the topic. The reason behind the idea of the RMS Titanic goes back to the early 1900s, when the transatlantic passenger trade was a fierce battleground. This company, called White Star Line, was eager to outshine its rivals. J. Bruce Ismay, chairman of White Star Line, devised a plan with William Perry of Harland and Wolff shipbuilding firm. This plan led to the construction of a class of large liners focused on comfort rather than speed. The result was a trio of vessels, the Olympic, Titanic, and the Britannic. Thus, on March 31st, 1909, the construction of Titanic was officially started. Thomas Andrews, chief naval architect of Harland and Wolff shipyard, led the design of the Titanic. The ship was a marvel of its time, featuring immense size at 882 feet and 8 inches long. It was the largest ship afloat at the time. Unprecedented luxury. First-class passengers enjoyed lavishly decorated cabins, a grand staircase, swimming pools, squash courts, and even Turkish baths. Even second and third class accommodations were superior to what other ships offered. Technological advancements. The Titanic boasted watertight compartments, wireless telegraphy, and powerful quadruple expansion engines. The ship was considered the epitome of naval engineering. In addition to ornate decorations, the Titanic featured an immense first-class dining saloon, 4 elevators, and a swimming pool. Its second-class accommodations were comparable to the first-class features on other ships, and its third-class offerings, although modest, were still noted for their relative comfort. As to safety elements, the Titanic had 16 compartments that include doors that could be closed from the bridge, so that water could be contained in the event that the hull was breached. Although they were presumed to be watertight, the bulkheads were not capped at the top. The ship's builder claimed that 4 of the compartments could be flooded without endangering the liner's buoyancy. The system led many to claim that the Titanic was unsinkable. Construction of the Titanic began in March 1909 and took 3 years and over 3,000 workers. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail on its maiden voyage, traveling from Southampton, England to New York City. Nicknamed the Millionaire Special, the ship was fittingly captained by Edward J. Smith, who was known as the Millionaire's Captain because of his popularity with wealthy passengers. Indeed, on board were a number of prominent people, including American businessman Benjamin Guggenheim, British journalist William Thomas Stead, and Macy's department store co-owner Isidore Strace and his wife Ida. In addition, Ismay and Andrews were also traveling on the Titanic. Final hours. On the evening of April 14, 1912, Titanic receives iceberg warnings throughout the evening. Captain Smith alerts the ship's course to head farther south but maintains a speed of 22 knots. The nearby ship Mesaba sends an ice field warning at 9:40 p.m., but it is not transmitted to the Titanic. In the night of April 14, 1912, 2 lookouts, Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee, are stationed in the crow's nest. At approximately 11:40 p.m., an iceberg is sighted about 400 nautical miles south of Newfoundland. First Officer William Murdoch orders a sharp maneuver and reverses engines, but the Titanic collides with the iceberg. April 15, 1912, early morning, the iceberg ruptures at least 5 supposedly watertight compartments towards the bow. Ship's designer Thomas Andrews assesses the damage, predicting the Titanic's fate as its forward compartments fill with water. Captain Smith orders distress signals at approximately 12:20 am. Another ship called Carpathia is alerted, but it is 58 nautical miles away. Lifeboats are launched with orders for women and children first, but capacity concerns and lack of drills impacted the efficiency. April 15, 1912, 1 am. Titanic's musicians entertain passengers as they board lifeboats, conflicting reports on their last performance. Water is seen at the base E deck of the grand staircase. Panic ensues as male passengers attempt to board lifeboat number 14, resulting in Harold Lowe firing his gun. April 15, 1912, 2 a.m. Titanic's bow sinks, placing strain on the midsection. Stern raises out of the water and only 3 collapsible lifeboats remain on the ship. Captain Smith releases the crew, stating, "It's every man for himself." Lights on the Titanic go out at approximately 2:18 am. April 15, 1912, 2:20 am. Titanic breaks in two as Stern disappears beneath the Atlantic. Hundreds of passengers and crew enter the icy water. Lifeboats delay returning to pick up survivors, resulting in the death of many in the water. Over 1,500 perish, with only 705 rescued in lifeboats. The Carpathia arrived in the area at approximately 3:30 am, more than an hour after the Titanic sank. Lifeboat number 2 was the first to reach the liner, and over the next several hours, all survivors were picked up by the Carpathia. The Californian arrived later. Defects and reasons for the sinking of Titanic. Design flaw. The Titanic's safety relied on 16 supposedly watertight compartments, but the bulkheads were not capped at the top. Overconfidence in unsinkability. The ship's builders claimed it was unsinkable, contributing to a false sense of security. Critical iceberg warnings ignored. On the evening of April 14, as the Titanic approached an iceberg-prone area, it received warnings but maintained its speed. Late course alteration. Captain Smith slightly altered the ship's course southward but maintained a speed of 22 knots, reducing reaction time. Missed warnings from Mesaba. At 9:40 p.m., Mesaba sent a warning about an ice field, but it was never relayed to the Titanic's bridge. Radio distractions. Wireless operators, Phillips and Bright, were busy relaying passenger messages, causing them to miss crucial iceberg warnings. Missing binoculars. The ocean's unusual calmness and missing binoculars in the crow's nest made spotting icebergs challenging. Inadequate reaction to iceberg sighting. At approximately 11:40 p.m., an iceberg was sighted and a maneuver was attempted, but it was too close to avoid collision. Failure to head-on collision. Captain Murdoch's decision to turn instead of hitting the iceberg head-on exacerbated the damage. Insufficient lifeboat capacity. Despite exceeding British Board of Trade requirements, Titanic's 20 lifeboats could only accommodate 1,178 people, far below the total aboard. Haphazard lifeboat launch. Crew concerns about David's strength led to lifeboats being launched well below capacity, exacerbating the evacuation process. Cancelled lifeboat drill. The scheduled lifeboat drill was cancelled, leaving crew and passengers unfamiliar with the evacuation procedures. Delayed distress signals. Distress signals were sent out only after the collision, and the nearby Californians' warnings were ignored. Passenger panic and entertainment. As passengers waited to board lifeboats, the ship's musicians played, possibly causing a delay in evacuation. Inadequate communication to passengers. Captain Smith failed to sound a general alarm, leaving some passengers unaware of the gravity of the situation. Crew release and every man for himself. Captain Smith released the crew, signaling it's every man for himself, contributing to chaos during the evacuation. Inadequate rescue proximity. Despite distress signals, rescue ships like Carpathia were too far away to arrive in time. Lifeboat delays. Fearful of being swamped, lifeboats delayed returning to pick up survivors, resulting in more deaths from exposure. The aftermath revealed shortcomings in safety regulations, leading to significant changes in maritime safety standards. In response to the Titanic disaster, the International Ice Patrol was established in 1913 to warn ships of icebergs in the North Atlantic. The Titanic story, though heartbreaking, serves as a powerful reminder of human ambition, engineering marvels, and the importance of safety measures. It continues to captivate us with its grandeur, technology, and the tragic lessons learned from its fateful journey.